Man, we're only the second episode in, and we're going to tackle one of the most infamous games from AVGN, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now this game is mentioned throughout the years in his reviews, but our main focus is from both episode 2 and episode 95. During the initial review, the nerd basically just rants for a good 3.5 minutes about how shitty it is, and shows all of maybe a minute of gameplay. This episode is responsible for a lot of the classic nerd lines, such as, "I would rather drown in gasoline than play this game," "It's a horrible abomination of mankind," and the good old "what were they thinking?", as well as having the first appearance of Rolling Rock. He also mentions again that Castlevania 2 is a disappointment and a piece of shit, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. And lastly, he goes on to call the game fucking horrible, and tells his viewers to go out and smash any copies they can find. In the nerd's eyes, this is his ultimate video game rival, and a game he would never even attempt to finish. I think it's fair to say that out of 5 stars, he'd give it a rating of
-5 stars!
According to Wikipedia, Game Informer magazine called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde possibly the most unplayable garbage available on NES. And Eurogamer put this game as 8th of the top 10 worst games of the 1980s. I'm not sure if that covered games on other systems, but that's quite the reputation. So given all of these opinions, how bad is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde actually? Personally, I've had only brief experience with this game before, and I didn't think it lived quite up to the hype. But I only got past the first couple levels. There are a total of 6 levels. And the point of this game is very simple. Get Dr. Jekyll from the left side of each level to the right side and dodge all the obstacles that are in the way. Jekyll has 2 meters, one for his health and one for his stress. When Jekyll gets hit with obstacles, his stress meter builds up, and if it gets full, he turns into Hyde. As Hyde, this game suddenly turns into a janky rail shooter where you walk backwards, and it's up to Hyde's punches and the Psycho Wave to stop the demons that are now trying to kill you. If your life meter is drained, or if you walk backwards further than you walked as Jekyll, then you die. Killing demons lowers the stress bar, and when it's drained, you'll turn back into Jekyll and your life bar refills. Does that make sense? It took me a few deaths to figure all this out. Famously, Jekyll only has a pathetic cane to protect himself. As far as I can tell, the only thing it can actually kill are some bees that appear later in the game. Otherwise, he can only jump and walk at a snail's pace. The music, I admit, I don't hate, but it never changes, and the sound effects are annoying as hell. Let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this game. What makes it so bad? While playing through level 1, there isn't much to say. There are townspeople that shiv Jekyll as he walks past them, a bomb maniac, and yeah, that's his official title as stated in the manual, dogs, cats, and fucking Billy Pones. Level 2 is where this game starts to heat up. Here you have birds shitting at you, and suddenly the bomb maniac's bombs seem to be hitting you even when you appear to be well out of range. There's also an annoying gravedigger that hits you with rocks as you walk past him. The pattern seems pretty random. By this time you've probably taken enough damage to turn into Hyde, and his stages vary in difficulty. Sometimes you get a bunch of these little brain dudes that are easy to kill, and then sometimes you get these harder enemies that seem impossible to dodge. Level 2 is certainly annoying, but there's really nothing maddening here so far. Level 3 is just more of the same, except now you run into the singing lady, and it can be a real bitch to get past her. As Hyde, sometimes killed demons drop coins, and if you have enough of them, you can hand them off to her to stop the singing. But I find myself to be dead most of the time after turning into Hyde early on. Level 4 is where this game takes a drastic turn, giving you some really annoying, seemingly random obstacles, and the townspeople are in a frantic rush to make you dead. Right away it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to do here? Look at this spider, it won't let me past it, and it's being cockboxed with this bomb guy. If you try to dart past them, you get creamed with the bombs. Ugh. Like, just look at this madness. It's like the programmers designed this game as a prank and charged you $60 for it. Oh, and would you look at that? The game glitched out and the crows no longer functioned for the rest of the level. Not that I'm really complaining about it. Level 5 is the cemetery, and there's nothing new to see here, and it's actually one of the easier stages. But the 6th and final stage is where you feel like drinking all the bleach you can find. This stage alone took me about an hour to beat. They introduced these goddamn barrels, and it gets more hectic than playing fucking Donkey Kong. These things just about never stop. And it gets worse because of course they throw like a million of these bomb guys at you as well. So you have to play this cat and mouse game of inching the screen little by little just to get anywhere. And of course, you can't dodge all of it, so you'll be seeing your good friend Hyde more than you like. And may Jesus be with you trying to get past all this shit. You can hide in some doors here, but they kick you out really fast, so I couldn't really find a good use for it. And what I find really weird is that this game speeds up when there are more sprites on the screen than usual. Usually the games get slower. Like, how the hell did this happen? This game can be so cruel. These barrels normally don't even hurt, but this one took a huge chunk off of my life. Must be another glitch. And is this a fucking joke? If you don't inch the screen far enough along, you basically create an endless loop that's impossible to get through. But hey, at least the barrels stopped working for some unexplainable reason. Somehow here, I glitched the game by getting my ass kicked so hard that the bomb guy placed his bomb at the bottom of the screen. And then the game's just all sorts of fucked up. The next bomb guy I saw wrecked my ass. But you know, this game has unlimited continues, so if you can stick with it long enough, you can beat this game. And the ending sucks. It just says end, nothing else. Apparently you can get an alternate ending with Hyde, but that'll have to wait for another day. So with all this being said, does this all make Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde one of the worst games of all time? Well, no. Just because a game can be undeniably difficult and unfair at times, doesn't make it so awful. I can't believe I'm going to make this comparison, but it's like saying that Ninja Gaiden 1 is terrible because the last two stages are so hard that it ruins the game for me. Now, please don't take this the wrong way. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is definitely not a great game. Hell, it's not even a good game. But I'd be hard pressed to even put it into the bottom 20 games on the NES. After playing through it, I could at least understand what the developers were attempting to do. And sure, the enemies are annoying, the gameplay is uninspired, your cane is worthless, the controls are a little shitty, the music sucks, it's short, glitchy, and extremely difficult, but it definitely doesn't live up to the hype as being one of the worst games of all time. It doesn't even sniff the jockstrap of Superman 64. Then, do I agree with the nerd at all? Sure, sort of, in a sense that this game sucks, and while it's bad, to me it's no less than a 2 out of 5 star game. I have a feeling that all these magazines and websites that trash Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde never bothered actually playing the fucking game. They just watched a nerd episode and took his word for it. And as we keep doing these, I have a feeling this is going to be a common theme. Next episode, we'll be taking a look at Karate Kid on the NES.